Another very famous, very popular theory about the sun rising from the west is called retrograde. It says that NASA confirms possibility of sun rising from the west. And I'll just read the first two paragraphs about this particular article and this theory. It says, the science of astronomy states that the speed of planet Mars has been decreasing in its course toward the eastern direction in the past few weeks to the level we notice the waver between the east and the west, and on Wednesday the 30th of July the planet movement stopped going toward the eastern direction. Then, in the months of August and September, Mars changed its course in the opposite direction to the west, and that until the end of September, which means the sun will rise now from the west on Mars, ! And this weird phenomena of the opposite movement is called retrograde motion. Most scientists state that all the planets will go through the same thing. And this is just the same text here. So this theory went very viral. NASA has confirmed that the sun is going to rise from the west because of retrograde motion. So again, let's see what the actual science is on this. Is this possible? So what is retrograde motion? Is this going to be the reason why the sun will rise from the west on Earth? Well, first of all, retrograde motion is an apparent change in the movement of a planet through the sky. Apparent. It is not real in the sense that the planet does not physically start moving backward in its orbit. So the easiest way to explain this is if you have a look at this diagram. These numbers represent Earth at different positions in its orbit. So you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this brown planet is Mars. And you have the corresponding numbers of where Mars is at the same time in its orbit with respect to the Earth. So when Earth is in position 9, Mars is in position 9. When Earth is in position 6, Mars is in position 6. And then if you connect the lines, you see that they end up in a dot. And this dot represents the position of Mars in the night sky when viewed from someone standing at Earth. And if you track the position of Mars as it appears in the night sky from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, you will see that first Mars appears to move from right to left. Then it does a loop from 4 to 6. It goes from left to right. And then it goes back from 6 to 9. So it does due west, due east, due west again. And this is called retrograde motion. Now Mars is still moving in its orbit. Earth is still moving in its orbit. The reason this loop occurs is because Earth overtakes Mars. Here, at position 4, Earth is behind Mars. Position 5, Earth is at the same position as Mars is, and at 6, Earth overtakes Mars. So it's not that Mars is stopped its rotation and it is now spinning in the opposite direction and that every single planet does this. No, it's just that Mars and other planets in the sky appear to do this motion as you look at the night sky and track the position of the planet, because the speed of Earth through its orbit is different than the speed of Mars. And it is exactly for this reason that when Greek astronomers would look up into the night sky, they would see these little stars, or what they thought were stars, move in a strange way or wander around the night sky. They didn't seem to move in line with the other constellations. And so Greek astronomers gave these bodies, these celestial bodies, the name planetae, which means the wanderer. So the idea of retrograde motion was observed by Greek astronomers. They saw that this happens in the night sky, and that's why they called those celestial bodies that present retrograde motion planets or planetae. So it's a very well-known phenomenon, and the key thing to understand is it is just how other planets appear to someone stood on Earth in the night sky. So this is not going to be the cause of the sun rising from the west. The third really popular theory about the sunrise from the west is all about pole shifting of the Earth's magnetic field. So this is a small excerpt from a lecture by Jamal Badawi from the Islam on Demand YouTube channel. I have tremendous respect for Jamal Badawi and for all Islamic scholars that strive to share knowledge of Islam and knowledge of end times with others. I think it is a very important piece of work. And the purpose of sharing this video is not criticism. The purpose of sharing this video is to simply understand the perspective of others and to share our own opinion on those perspectives in the pursuit of knowledge and scholarship. So let's hear what Jamal Badawi has to say about the sunrise from the west.
I've heard also of another possibility that some scientists say that the axis of the Earth has reversed one time before. In other words, the north and versus south pole has transformed or taken different shape or changed position. This is again something that some theorize. So it could possibly be that. And the rising of the coming of the sun from the west could also be another reversal that might take place just before of the day of judgment in the shape or the direction of movement of the earth. This is something that is still open for question.
So the idea with this pole shifting theory is that the Earth's magnetic field will shift so that the North Pole and the South Pole will shift, and then that could actually cause the Earth to spin in the opposite direction. And this was also something which a lot of people got excited about on social media. There were many posts. Again, NASA confirms the sun could rise from the west. They use the same title, but this social media post actually talks about the pole shifting and how pole shifting will cause the Earth to spin in the opposite direction. But actually, NASA released a statement about this, and it said that neither NASA or any other scientific organization is predicting the sun will rise from the west. Magnetic pole reversal is a real phenomenon that has happened many times in the past, and scientists worldwide study it. But a reversal leading to the Earth spinning in the opposite direction to cause the sun to rise in the west is false. NASA and other scientific organizations are too often the target of false news and science claims, adding this latest hoax is similar to other doomsday predictions that come and go. So the pole shifting won't cause the Earth to spin in the opposite direction, but in this article by The Express, they've taken a different perspective. They said, okay, sunrise in the west, scientists warn north could be south as Earth's magnetic poles switch. And they're not talking about the Earth spinning in the opposite direction. What they're saying is that we would see compasses point south instead of north, and therefore the sun will rise in the west. So this is also a view that many Muslims hold, that okay, the pole reversal will not cause the Earth to spin in the opposite direction, but the compasses will reverse. So the magnetic field will be pointing in the opposite direction. So instead of a compass pointing north, it'll point south. What that means is that the magnetic east will become the magnetic west. So the sun will still rise in the east, it's just that if you look at a compass, the compass will say that it is west. So let's understand what NASA has to say about magnetic pole reversals. This is an article from NASA's website on global climate change, vital signs of the planet. This is a paragraph that I want to read about magnetic pole reversal. It says, during a pole reversal, Earth's magnetic north and south poles swap locations. While that may sound like a big deal, pole reversals are common in Earth's geologic history. Paleomagnetic records tell us Earth's magnetic poles have reversed 183 times in the last 83 million years, and at least several hundred times in the past 160 million years. This diagram on the bottom shows the periods of time when a pole reversal has occurred. So black is a period of time when the pole is correct. So north is geographic north and magnetic north are aligned. And south is a time of pole reversal. And it looks like a barcode because it's happened so many times throughout history. So if this is the sunrise from the west, then where are all of the other major signs of the end times? Where is the beast? Where is the Dajjal? Where are all of those other signs? This has already happened 183 times in the past. Another very popular theory is that, okay, it's not about the Earth's core spinning in the opposite direction. It's not about the Earth's magnetic field reversing. It's just that the Earth will slow down and stop. And then it'll spin in the opposite direction, and that's going to cause the sun to rise from the west. This is a lecture by Dr. Munir Al-Qasim. So let's have a listen.
Very fast, and it has been slowing down since then. Now it completes one rotation around its axis in 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4 seconds. And scientists know that the speed is going to diminish. The Earth is going to slow down up to a point where it will not be able to support any more decrease in its speed. When that will happen, the Earth will behave like a spring that you rotate in a certain direction up to a certain point. When you cannot really wind it any further in that direction, then if you leave it, what will happen? It will start to rotate in the opposite direction. And the Earth is going to do that. That's what scientists tell us, that the Earth is going to slow and slow and slow up to a point where it cannot, because of its mass, slow any further. Then it will stop briefly and will start to rotate in a clockwise fashion. And guess what will happen when that takes place? The sun will appear from the west.
So, according to this theory, the Earth is like a spring. It's going to slow down and then stop. It'll have all of that energy inside it like a spring, and it'll release that energy and spin in the opposite direction. So to understand this theory in more detail, we have to first look at why the Earth is slowing down in the first place. This is a great video. It's a nice scientific documentary that explains the phenomenon of the Earth spinning and why it's slowing down. So let's take a listen together.
Was that the moon causes tides on the Earth. But with every tide cycle, the sloshing of Earth's water exerts just a little bit of friction on the surface, and it slows the planet's rotation ever so slightly. And every time the Earth's rotation slows, the moon moves a bit further away. Over time, our day went from 6 to 24 hours, and the moon retreated to its current distance of about 250,000 miles.
So that's the mechanism by which the Earth is slowing down. The moon exerts gravitational force on the Earth. It causes ocean tides. Those ocean tides slosh and slap the surface of the Earth, and they have a very, very, very slight braking effect. But the next question is, okay, will this lead to the Earth stopping and then acting like a spring and then spinning back in the opposite direction and causing the sunrise to the west? Let's have a look at this video, which actually shows a simulation of what will happen once the Earth reaches that critical stage.
Eventually, the Earth's rotation will slow down so much that it will rotate along with the moon. One day on Earth will last as long as a lunar month, and one side of the Earth will permanently face the moon. This is called tidal locking.
So what will happen is not that the Earth will just stop rotating and then act like a spring. It will eventually rotate in sync with the moon. So that's called tidal locking. The Earth will spin just as the moon spins. A day on the Earth will be the same as a day on the moon. So it'll be equivalent to 28 of our regular days. However, this won't happen for a very, very, very long time. We're talking about billions of years. It took about 4.5 billion years for the Earth's speed to slow down from 6 hours to 24 hours. Many people hold the view that the sunrise from the west is a sign which will appear in the minutes and seconds just before the Day of Judgment. However, this is actually amongst the very first signs of the end times. The Prophet ﷺ said, the first signs to appear will be at the rising of the sun from the west and the emergence of the beast to the people at forenoon. So if the sun rises from the west in the morning, the beast will come out in the afternoon. Whichever of them appears first, the other will come soon after. And then the narrator says, I do not think it will be anything other than the sun rising from the west. So what we learn from this hadith is that the sunrise from the west is not one of the very last signs of the end times. It's actually one of the first major signs, or amongst the very first signs that will occur in the end times. And the idea is that for this to occur, that the earth becomes tidally locked, will happen in such a long time that the sun will engulf the earth. The sun will become so big it will just be bigger than the earth's position where it is right now relative to the sun. The earth will be consumed by the sun. So this cannot be the sunrise from the west. And there are new theories that pop up every few months, and they get a lot of attention on social media. Some of them go viral, that this is the cause. This will cause the sun to rise from the west. And one is that, okay, mining the earth's surface will cause the earth to have an imbalance and it'll shift and then start spinning in the opposite direction. Or digging water wells will cause an imbalance in the ocean currents, and that's going to cause the sun to rise from the west. Or there'll be a super volcano eruption, and that will cause the earth's momentum to slow down, and then it'll spin in the opposite direction and the sun will rise in the west. Now we can go through all of these theories one by one. We can read the scientific papers and the social media posts that are being referenced for those theories. We can evaluate the evidence under scientific scrutiny, and then ultimately determine that it is not going to cause the earth to stop spinning, spin in the opposite direction, and the sun to rise from the west. And whenever you have a matter like this, I believe that the only source of truth and information that you must always turn to is the Quran. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us about the sunrise from the west in the Quran?